There have been several very interesting updates in the Activision Blizzard Microsoft merger, including one that could indicate that Activision is preparing to drop out of the deal. That's right. The whole thing might fall apart after all, but Microsoft is saying everything is fine and they will be presenting findings quite soon. But places like Berkshire Hathaway are selling even more of their stock. We got a lot to go over, so let's dive right in. So first things first, there was a report about something that Activision is doing over on Seeking Alpha. This was brought to my attention via IDIS over on Reset Era, but it's very, very interesting. Here's what Seeking Alpha says. There's some speculation that potentially the bank was hired for Activision defense. Activision hired a bank. CNBC's David Faber said on the Business Network on Tuesday, he said activist Elliott has been mentioned as a possible name. Faber explained that an activist could be involved to push the video game behemoth to use their cash if the deal with Microsoft is blocked by regulators. So they would use that money to potentially push the deal forward or for something else. The Activision CFO told investors on Monday that the company could use its cash for a dividend buybacks or even mergers and acquisitions, according to CNBC's Faber. Faber also said there remains a glimmer of hope that Activision Microsoft could potentially allay the UK antitrust regulators' concerns by agreeing to sell a division or possibly reaching a deal with Sony, though he said both scenarios appear unlikely via Seeking Alpha. So why would you hire an Activision defense? Well, there are a few thoughts on that. And here's what IDIS said. He said basically, speculation on my part, but is the Activision Blizzard deal getting ready for a divestiture or abandoning the deal? Now, the divestiture actually makes sense. Why would they be staffing up on that? Because potentially in the UK, they might have to break off the Call of Duty branch or break it off to an independent section and then have that place handle Call of Duty and how it's distributed. So that could be one outcome. There are different reasons to hire an Activision defense team on the M&A. This is what IDA says, among others. One, because you're going to change the terms of a deal already announced. Two, because you are going to divest assets to a third company. And that's what we speculated would happen with the Activision deal, that they're going to divest in the UK and have another party handle the Call of Duty situation. Or three, because you were going to demerge a previously announced deal. When something like that happens, you are going to get a lot of unhappy shareholders. So you need to defend from different legal tactics that they'll use to abort the change that you are making to the original plan. Maybe it's just a backup plan, but if true, it's an interesting development. Now that's via IDIS on Reset Era. So it does seem like there is a potential that Activision is staffing up to bail on the deal. They could be stocking up on cash to make sure that they are able to do whatever they need to do to make sure that the EU and CMA are happy with the outcome. Or, like he said, the whole deal could be falling through. But here's the update from Microsoft. This is from over on Reuters. People will be very happy I said it right for once. Microsoft will make a last-ditch effort to defend its $69 billion bid for Call of Duty maker Activision Blizzard in front of EU and national antitrust officials at a closed hearing on February 21st, the U.S. software company said on Tuesday. The company asked for a hearing after receiving a statement of objections from the European Commission warning about the possible anti-competitive effects of the deal. Now, Microsoft is expected to offer remedies after the hearing. So that's the first time we've heard of a timeline for when remedies will be offered. So the closed hearing is on February 21st. It is right around the corner. And then we're going to hear about what Microsoft has proposed as a solution shortly thereafter. So Activision's over here doing stuff. We have Microsoft planning their defense for the statement of objections coming up very soon. And then we're going to find out what those corrections are going to be. So there's something going on with Activision and Microsoft, definitely. And I am very curious what that is. Now, I have to imagine if Microsoft is going to go present a case, then it is going to be a divestiture, which is why Activision is staffing up. But let's get to one more news topic in just a second. Before I do, half of you are not subscribed right now. And if like 10% of the people who aren't subscribed, I would hit my goal of hitting 100,000 subscribers today. So just a few, you have to subscribe. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell if you've liked this video thus far. So the final quote is all about Berkshire Hathaway, who has actually reduced the amount of shares that they have in Activision Blizzard. It's also partially divested Activision Blizzard, maker of Call of Duty video game. The number of shares Berkshire holds fell 12.3% to 52.7 million and now owns a 6.7 stake. Still a substantial stake, but Berkshire Hathaway does not mess around. And if they feel like something is becoming higher risk for the return that they planned, they're going to sell off those shares. And this is the second time that they've sold off shares of Activision Blizzard. So I have to wonder if they're starting to get some cold feet. Microsoft Corp is making efforts to conclude the acquisition of Activision Blizzard on February 21st. Microsoft will defend the deal in front of European Union and national antitrust officials at a closed hearing, as we just talked about. Later on Tuesday, Berkshire is expected to unveil its full portfolio of U.S. listed companies. So we are going to learn more about what Berkshire Hathaway plans to do in the near future with the company. Now, what has Microsoft presented to regulators this far? They said they presented a 10-year offer to PlayStation. They've even offered that PlayStation can have Call of Duty on PlayStation Plus. I am really curious if that is going to be part of their remedy and solution package. Beyond that, they've given Nintendo 10 years. So they've already shown like, look, we're willing for anybody to have Call of Duty on their platform. I am a little bit surprised that the CMA would come back with, you have to divest Call of Duty, because it seems primarily based on the recommendation of Sony, who has been obviously wanting the deal to fall apart. And if this falls apart, it will be greatly beneficial to Sony because, they get to maintain the status quo and Microsoft is not able to acquire Activision Blizzard. There's also the gamers lawsuit, which will conclude at some point in May after all of this craziness happens. So there's a lot going on, and a lot is going to continue happening over the next few weeks. And thank you for joining me for all of it. If you've watched this far, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that bell. I said it earlier in the video, but half of you aren't subscribed. And if you subscribed right now, we would hit the goal nearly immediately. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you to the members for supporting the channel. I really, really appreciate you. I've just updated the list, so thank you to everybody. If you want to become a member, you can click join right down there, and that removes ads for all these videos. Check out the video yesterday where there was a statement from the 270-page document about Game Pass and how it's not profitable and sort of my thoughts on that. And I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.